goes. Great. So, good morning. Welcome to our Saturday morning live stream. Maybe you're here on Saturday morning. Maybe you're watching this later. I'm reading a lovely book. It's called, what is it called? Mama Brain Kicking In. Oh gosh, I can't remember the title. Anyway, it's a lovely book, and I'm actually reading for the second time, so I really should know the title, but it's a book by Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a very well-known Zen Buddhist monk, and it's all about sort of the psychology of Buddhism. And he starts by, in the introduction, inviting people to read the book without trying too hard to understand it. And I really like this idea. I think we can apply it to yoga as well, that we have to leave room for a little bit of softness or looseness when we're approaching the yoga practice. He says it's like when you're listening to music, or if you can imagine how the earth allows the rain to permeate the soil, we need that quality, and that's how we learn or how we understand. And if we try too hard, then it's like covering the earth with plastic, and then the rain, that nourishment can't get in. So I think when we approach our yoga practice, both understanding the philosophy and understanding the physical movement, we need this quality of allowing the rain to get in. And that means, I think, as anyone who practices with me often maybe knows, I like to offer room for reaching, for trying to achieve maybe poses that are difficult for us. And so we need discipline, and we need determination, but we also need this spaciousness, and we need patience, of course, most importantly. And so the quality is that the rain can get in, and the pose arises when it's ready to arise, and we just don't have to try so hard. That's the main point. We'll start seated, and you can find a nice way to sit cross-legged or whatever works for you. Maybe your hands to your knees or in your lap. You can sit up nice and tall, closing your eyes. You can just take a few moments here to settle into your body. Start to notice how it is that you feel this morning or today. Maybe beginning to find this quality of permeability. So we look for an upright shape, which is alert. There's some effort in lifting the ribs away from the hips and sitting up nice and tall. But also we keep the face relaxed. We let the shoulders soften away from the ears. We let the hips settle. We allow the skin to soften and relax. We feel the breath entering the body. We feel the breath leaving the body. And we see if we can absorb how we're feeling, not so much on an intellectual level, but on a cellular level. We just let it in, whatever it is that is arising for us. And we feel our way through it rather than thinking our way through it. You might start to build up your Ujjayi breath here, so we're breathing along the path of the nose, and then really finding the breath at the back of the throat, maybe some sound to the breathing, allowing the breath to fill the whole three-dimensional space of your ribs. Feel the impact of the breath in the belly, in the deep pelvis. As you're exhaling, you can gather the low belly in and up, keeping the ribs lifted, letting the shoulders stay relaxed. Again, feeling that exhale along the back of your throat, the path of the nose, back into space. And then taking your next full, slow, nourishing breath in. And just continuing your own even rhythm of breathing. And in our breath as well, we can find this quality of creating a space for conscious breathing, so we have some effort or some intention with our breath, but also spaciousness for the breath to be free. Room to simply feel how the breath is in the body. So So that again, we understand our breathing in a physical way rather than in an intellectual way. And then from here, we'll just slowly start to go through some circling in the neck. So as you exhale, you can let your chin drop down towards your chest, and then inhale to take your right ear towards your right shoulder, finding some length in the left side of the neck, bringing the head across, the left ear towards the left shoulder, lengthening through the right side of the neck. And then as you exhale, sweeping the head back down through center. So kind of a semicircle motion. Just keep going with your own smooth rhythm of breathing up to the right, across to the left, and then sweeping down through center. So we find space in the sides of the neck and the back of the neck. Noticing if there's any habitual pattern of holding or some tension that we've maybe just recently built up in some area of the neck or the shoulders that we can start to soften out through this movement and through the breathing. Good, and then we'll change direction. So with your next inhale, bringing your left ear towards your left shoulder, head across to the right, sweeping down through center, space in the back of the neck. So you can just keep going again, following your own breath. Only seeing if you can go especially slowly through any area where you feel a stickiness or resistance, so that we can feel our way through whatever that tension is. And maybe that allows us then to resolve some of the tension. And then you can bring your head back up to a neutral space and just resting the head really perfectly at the top of your spine. And then from here, we'll start to roll through the spine. So you might have your hands to your knees if they're not already there. As you exhale, you can ease your weight back towards the back edge of the hips. You're rounding through your back, letting the chin drop down towards your chest. And then as we inhale, we'll start to tip the hips forward. So we find the front edge of the sits bones, and then carrying up through that back bend, lifting the chest, maybe lifting your gaze. You can open the throat a little bit, roll the shoulders back. As you exhale, again, dropping the chin towards the chest, rounding through the upper back, the mid back, the low back, leaning your weight towards the back edge of your hips. And then inhaling to rock forward, sort of tilting the pelvis, arching through the low spine, lengthening the belly, lifting the chest, the shoulders roll back, the throat opens. And just gently tilting your gaze upwards. And then again, we'll move into a rounded shape. So you just keep going with your own smooth rhythm of breath, exploring the fluid line of your spine. Really feeling not just how the spine itself moves, but also how the hips and the shoulders are required to participate in this movement, so that we get a sense of fluidity, easeful motion in the joints of the hips, the joints of the shoulders, and then all of the joints of the spine. So if we think of the spine as 26 little spots of connection between bones, and then we have an opportunity to look for more glide or more space in each of those little areas where the bones meet all the way up your spine. And with your next inhale, you can come back to a neutral shape, so just sitting up nice and tall. And then from here, we'll reach the arms up alongside the ears, stretching up through your fingers. And exhale to bring your right hand down beside your right hip, and we'll lean into the right hand as we reach the left arm alongside the left ear. And then inhaling to come back up to center, both arms reaching tall. Exhaling the left hand down, the right arm alongside the right ear. Inhale to reach up through center. Exhaling, right hand down. Find that long quality out through your left arm. And just keep going, your own smooth rhythm of breathing, sort of swaying side to side. You can think of like a blade of prairie grass responding to the wind, or seaweed responding to a current of water. So there's something that's really natural and smooth. And noticing the spine's capacity for movement. And maybe do once more on each side. So after the next time that you've brought your left hand down, stretch your right arm alongside your right ear. We'll inhale to come back up to center, and then exhaling to bring your hands down to the floor. You can find your way to all fours, setting your knees under your hips, your wrists under your shoulders, fingers spread comfortably wide apart. And then moving through a few rounds of cat and cow. So inhaling to lengthen the belly, reaching your ribs forward, lifting the sits bones, lifting the chest. Exhaling to round the back, hugging the belly in, letting the head drop. So you're moving with your own breathing, really slow, fluid, attentive movement. Noticing again that it's not really just your spine that does independent movement, but that the hips and the shoulders participate. And we can find more water-like quality in the way that we move the pelvis, in the way that we ripple the spine, in the way that the shoulders roll, so that all of that feels as comfortable as possible. And then we'll inhale to come back to a neutral shape in the spine. And step your right foot back towards the back of your mat. Root the sole of the foot. You might let your lower left leg swing back. You might step your left hand a little bit forward, and then we'll reach the right arm up towards the ceiling. And take the right arm alongside your right ear. So stretching into a nice long side bend here. Breathing into the space of this right side ribs, the right side waist, pressing firmly down through your left hand so you can stabilize the left shoulder by spreading the left shoulder blade away from the midline of the back, and then roll your right side ribs open, turning your heart a little bit more towards the light. And then we'll exhale to bring the right hand down towards the floor, and stepping back to a plank shape. And leaning your weight into your hands, a little bit of roundness through the upper back here. And then as you exhale, you can drop your knees, slowly lower down towards your belly. Rooting through the pelvis, inhaling into a little cobra, or maybe less of a little cobra, depending what you've got in your belly right now. And we'll exhale to take the hips up and back, taking downward dog here. And then really strong roots down through your hands, sending your hips up nice and high. And stretching out the space of the low back. And then we'll just set the right knee down to the floor, root the sole of your left foot at the back edge of your mat. And you can let the lower right leg swing back a little bit for more balance. Right hand might step forward, reach the left arm up, open the chest wide. Take your left arm forward alongside your left ear. Breathing into the left side body. Maybe you can feel that you might root the outer edge of your left foot a little bit more firmly, and then stretch the left fingers away from that root. And the right shoulder stable, pressing down through the right hand. Maybe you can roll your heart a little bit more towards the ceiling. So there's a little bit of a quality of a twist. And then exhaling the left hand back down to the floor, stepping the right foot back, and then coming into a plank. And we'll bring the knees down, lowering slowly down towards your belly. Inhaling into a cobra, reaching the ribs forward. Exhaling to take the hips back, downward dog. A moment here, and lifting up high through your hips so we can really stretch out the length of the low back. Keeping the hips lifted high, reaching your heels down away from your hips. And then bringing your knees back to the floor, landing in all fours, knees under your hips, wrists under your shoulders. We'll reach the right arm forward alongside the right ear. Reach your left leg back parallel to the floor. Take a nice long stretch here out away from your center. And then as you exhale, rounding into center, you can gather the elbow, the knee towards each other. Inhale to reach out long. Now as you exhale, bring your left foot up towards the ceiling. Take your right hand back and see if you can find your left foot. If you can't find it, we could just keep both hands to the floor and work with the left leg in space. If you find your right hand to your left foot, you could push the foot into the hand. Start to lift the left thigh higher. See if you can stretch the belly forward, lengthen the heart forward, and then lift through the center of the chest. Lift your gaze, so we're creating a little bit more of a back bend. Keep pressing strongly down through that left hand, the left shoulder nice and stable. And then we'll exhale to slowly release, right hand down, left leg steps back. From here, we'll just step back to downward dog. And then remembering that kind of rippling quality in the spine that we looked for in those earlier shapes. As you inhale, you can come forward into a plank, really rounding through the back as you come forward. So see if you can puff up your shoulders, maybe finding roundness even in the mid-back. And then as you exhale, lowering either all the way down or maybe just halfway down, and then peeling in the opposite direction, stretch the fronts of the hips long, reach the heart forward, lift the chest, roll the shoulders back, maybe opening the throat. Exhale to pick your hips up and back, moving into downward dog. And again, exhaling the knees down to the floor, finding all fours. And then reaching your left arm forward and your right leg back. Nice long stretch here out away from center. Exhale to hug in towards center. Inhale, reaching out long. Exhale, the right foot comes up, left hand reaches for the right foot. And if you can't find that foot, you can just bring the left hand back to the floor. Seeing if you have the foot, if you can push the foot into the hand. And then wherever you are, looking to lift that right thigh high away from your mat. Stretch long through the belly, reach your heart forward, lift your heart, lift your gaze, really pressing down through your right hand, so right shoulder nice and strong. And maybe you can lift a little bit higher up through both ends, so right thigh, middle of the heart. And then exhaling to release. Left hand down, right foot steps back. Again, stepping back into downward dog. And then from here, as you inhale, rippling forward, really feeling that rounding quality in the upper back as you come forward. And then finding your way down towards or onto your belly. Inhaling to lengthen in the opposite direction. Fronts of the hips stretching out, lengthen the belly, lift the chest, roll the shoulders back. Exhale to pick the hips up, coming into downward dog. And then we'll walk the feet forward towards the hands here, arriving at a comfortable forward fold. Knees can be as bent as you like. Inhale to come halfway up, reaching your ribs forward. And then exhale to settle back down, hanging nice and heavy. Inhale again, reaching your ribs forward, stretching out through the belly, the low back. Exhale, scooping the belly in as you settle back down. And one more time, inhaling to come halfway up, ribs reaching forward. And then exhaling to drop back down into that nice heavy fold. And then we'll bring the hands to the back of the head, interlacing the fingers around the back of the skull. You can kind of wrap your elbows in so the upper back still feels wide. Just let the weight of the hands remind you to let go of the head so there's no extra work in your neck or your face. And we'll keep the hands where they are, looped around the back of the head. A little bit of bend in the knees, pressing down through the feet, and start to roll up to standing. As you're coming up, the legs begin to straighten and press down through the feet. Reach the tailbone towards the heels. Lengthen the belly, lift the heart. Keep your elbows wrapping in. Start to point your elbows up towards the ceiling, leaning your head into your hands, tilting your ribs back. So just a gentle back bend here. And then drawing the head back up to center so that it's balanced at the top of the spine. Let your arms settle by your sides. And we'll inhale to reach the arms up tall, nice full stretch. Exhale, folding forward, bring your hands towards the floor. Inhale, halfway up, reach the ribs forward. And exhale, softening, stepping your right foot back, bringing the right knee down to the mat. We'll stay here for a moment so you can fold up your mat if you like. And then as you're ready, bringing your arms up into a low lunge. Let the hips settle. gathering strength up through the legs. So left heel, right knee squeeze towards each other. The inner thighs draw in, which helps us to lift the belly maybe away from the left thigh and grow the ribs a little bit taller. And then we'll drop the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers. Inhale to lift the center of the chest. Exhale, start to just gently tip your ribs back as you reach your knuckles down towards that back knee. So we're still sinking the hips forward, but really pushing with your left foot to guide the torso away from the left thigh. And then think about going up with your heart as you reach down with your knuckles so that there's still space in your low back. And we'll feel that we need some effort of the core to comfortably hold this shape. And then slowly release, bringing the hands back to the floor, straightening the right leg, stepping back to downward dog. So hips up nice and high. And then again, really practicing that rippling action as you come forward on the inhale, rounding through the upper back, exhaling to melt down, and peel your body in the other direction, hips opening across the front lines, belly long, lifting the chest. But exhaling to come back to downward dog. Inhale, reaching the right leg up and back. Exhale, knee into the chest, stepping the right foot forward. Left knee down to the mat. Again, find padding if you need it. We'll sweep the arms up on the inhale. Letting the hips sink low. Squeezing the right heel, left knee towards each other. Inner thighs draw in. Draw your belly away from your right thigh. Grow taller up through your ribs. And then from here, hands behind the back, interlace the fingers. Keep lifting up through the center of the chest, and then see if you can start to reach your knuckles down towards that back leg. Maybe tilting the ribs back a little bit as you lean into this shape. So still letting your hips sink forward, but pushing into the right foot to guide the torso back away from that right thigh, and then go up with the heart, even as the knuckles reach down. Good. And then we'll come back through center, hands to the floor, stepping your left foot forward to meet the right. Inhaling halfway up, exhaling to release back down. Pressing into the feet, inhale all the way up, arms reaching for the ceiling, nice tall stretch. Exhaling the hands to the center of the chest. Inhale to reach the arms up tall. Exhaling to fold forward, hands towards the floor. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, softening, stepping your left foot back, left knee down to the mat. Again, padding if you like it, arms sweeping up, reaching into your low lunge. Couple of options here, so let the hips sink low, and again, find that stability through the center line, nice tall up through your ribs. We might just maybe interlace the fingers or find a mudra here with the hands together, and then what finger is that? Pointer finger extended. Or we could see if we're able to reach the right hand down towards the floor. So we're gonna move into a side bend. If your arms are up, you're just leaning with the arms up to whatever edge you can find. Or the right hand comes down beside your right hip. It helps here if you have naturally long arms. And then the left arm is reaching alongside the left ear. So we really have to let the hips sink low. Again, we're seeing if we can pull the belly away from the right thigh and then really stretch out through the left side body, wherever you've ended up. A few steady breaths here. And then we'll inhale to come back up towards center. Exhaling the hands to the floor. Straightening that left leg. Again, stepping back to downward dog. And then inhaling to ripple forward. Find the roundness in the upper back, so really stable. Exhaling to lower. And then rippling out in the other direction. Fronts of the hips stretching long. Lengthen the belly, lift the heart. Exhale to pick the hips up and back. Downward dog. We'll inhale to take the left leg up and back. Exhale, knee into the chest, step the left foot forward, right knee down. Inhaling to bring the arms up into your low lunge. Find that settling quality in the hips, belly moving back. Again, your choice. You might connect the hands in some way, so whatever mudra makes sense for you. Or we're reaching with the left hand down towards the floor beside the left hip, and then reaching out through the right arm into the side bend. Wherever you are, seeing if you can let the hips settle, draw back through the belly, and then really breathing into the right side body, allowing that stretch to find its way into your right hip crease. And then inhaling to come back up, arms reaching tall. Exhaling, hands to the floor, stepping your right foot forward to meet the left. Inhaling halfway up. Exhaling to sink back down. Inhaling to come all the way up, arms reaching for the ceiling. Exhaling, hands to the center of the chest. Inhale again to reach the arms up. Exhale, fold, hands to the floor. Inhale, halfway up, ribs forward. Exhale, planting your hands, stepping or hopping back to plank, and then moving with your own breath, your path to downward dog. Maybe you're just going straight there or traveling through a vinyasa, whatever feels good for you. And then we'll reach the right leg up and back on the inhale. Exhale, knee to chest, stepping your right foot towards your hands. Spin your left heel down, rooting the sole of the left foot. Inhale, arms coming up into warrior one. Seeing if you can find a relatively square shape in your hips here, so that left thigh spiraling forward as the right sits bone pulls back. Belly away from your right thigh, growing tall through your ribs. Good, then we're gonna exhale to move into warrior three. Shift your weight into your right foot. Maybe bringing your hands back by your sides just to make this a little bit more comfy. Really lifting through the inner line of your left leg, stretching back through the ball of the foot, reaching forward through the center of the chest. And then slowly bending your right knee, stepping that left foot back, moving into warrior two, arms out, shoulder height. You can adjust the feet here so that we find comfortable space across the front of the pelvis. And letting your right thigh bone roll slightly outwards in the right hip socket. Good, we'll inhale to reverse warrior. Keep stretching back through that right side body, and now straightening your right leg. And take another couple of breaths here. A little bit of hug in the belly, so you can lift through the rib cage, and then stretch a little bit farther over to the left. And then pressing down through the feet, we'll come through center as you're inhaling, reaching your right arm as far forward as you're able. Exhaling the right arm down, the left arm up, moving into triangle pose. And taking a few steady breaths here, hips reaching back. Lengthening out through the sides of the waist and rolling the heart open. So a little bit of a sense of a twist here, just exploring that mobility in your spine. And get long through the belly, really noticing if you're curling into this shape. See if you can maybe find more length in your front body. And then we'll press down through the feet, inhale to come back up to standing. Exhale, bending the right knee, warrior two. And inhale, reverse warrior, sweeping the right arm back. Exhaling to windmill the hands down to the floor. We'll step back to downward dog. Rippling forward into a plank. So again, really finding that rounding quality through the upper back as you come forward. And then softening down, knees first or one straight line. Inhaling to stretch long into the front body. And then exhaling to pick the hips up and back, downward dog. Inhale to reach your left leg up and back. Exhale, knee into the chest, step the left foot towards the hands. Spinning your right heel down, inhale, warrior one, arms coming up alongside the ears. Relatively square hips, settling the hips, drawing the belly away from the left thigh, and then growing your ribs up away from your hips. So lots of space here in your low back. Finding breath in the back body as much as you find it in the front body. And then we'll tip the weight into the left foot, and the arms might come back by your hips. And seeing if we can float into warrior three. So feeling the engagement along the back body here as you really lift the inner right leg, the back of the right leg, lift the chest. So we feel the back muscles help us to organize that lift. And then slowly bending your left knee, big step back, moving into warrior two, arms out, shoulder height, settling the hips, rolling your left thigh bone outwards in the hip socket. And we'll inhale here to reverse warrior, left side body nice and long, and then slowly lengthening out your left leg and keep reaching back through the left arm. You can find some effort in the deeper core to help lift the ribs so the low spine feels supported. Maybe you can slide that right hand a little bit deeper down as you reach farther back through the left. And we'll press through the feet, coming through center. Inhale to reach the left arm forward. Exhaling the left arm down, the right arm up, moving into your triangle shape. And seeing if you can send the left hip crease back, reach the ribs forward, lengthen out the sides of the waist, lengthen out the belly, a little bit of a turn to roll the right side ribs open. And steadying your breath. And pressing down through the feet. Inhale to come back up. Exhale, bending the left knee, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior, left arm reaching back. Exhale, windmill the hands to the floor. We'll step back to downward dog. And then set your knees down to the floor and come into a high kneeling shape. So we'll have the knees maybe about hip width apart. You can pad under your knees if you like here. And then just bringing your hands to the back, maybe kind of around the bottom of the ribs if you're able. Maybe if you're able, having your fingers turned up so you can actually feel those bottom ribs. If that doesn't work for your wrists, fingers can turn out or even down. And you imagine that there's a wall in front of you and you want to keep the thighs and the front of the pelvis pressing into that wall, and also connect your front ribs to that wall. Go up with the center of the heart, roll the shoulders back, just gently tipping the rib cage back, still pressing the hips and the thighs forward. And maybe remembering the primary impulse here is to go up as we gently tip the ribs back, so there shouldn't be any kind of crunchy feeling in the low back. A little baby camel. And then we'll pull back towards center, sit your hips to your heels, just for a moment here, finding a neutral shape in the spine. So tailbone reaching down, ribs going up, shoulders wide away from your ears. And then bringing your hands forward, tuck your toes under, take your hips up and back. Look for that same neutral quality in your spine. So maybe there's some of the roundness of the upper back still present, and then that kind of scooping feeling in the low back still present. And with that alignment in your spine, see if you can stretch out the backs of the legs a little bit more. And then we'll inhale to reach the right leg up and back. Exhale, draw the knee into the chest, step your right foot forward, left foot flat to the floor, arms coming up on the inhale, warrior one. Good, we'll exhale to lean into the right foot, moving again into warrior three. You could bring your hands back by your sides, lifting through the back body. You can really feel that engagement through the whole line of your back body to keep everything light here. And then we'll find maybe just a little bit of bend in the right knee. Start to lift the torso, bend your left knee, reach with your left hand back to find the top of your left foot, either the outside or the inside, and take the right arm up alongside your right ear. And now shifting into dancer's pose, we'll tip the ribs a little bit forward, but not too much. See if you can really kick your left leg up and back into your left hand. And then as you're leaning forward with the heart, again, still think about going up with the chest. So that right foot shooting down into the earth, everything else lifting away from the earth. Your left thigh, center of the chest, right fingertips. Again. And then we'll slowly release, again, bending that right knee, big step back, moving into warrior two. Front of the pelvis wide, keeping the hips sinking low. Inhale, reverse warrior long through your right side body. Stretching out your right leg, maybe you can reach back a little bit more deeply into the side bend. And then coming through center, inhale, right arm reaching forward. Exhale, right arm down, left arm up, moving into triangle pose. Continue sending your hips back, lengthening out through the sides of the waist. And really find the roots down through the feet. See if you can strengthen the legs a little bit more by hugging the heels towards each other, keeping that right thigh active. Draw in through your low belly. And we're gonna reach the left arm forward alongside the left ear, and then take the right arm up parallel to the left. And if this feels like too much on the low back or too much for your core, you can always just come up higher, or you could even keep that right arm down if you need to. So just finding an edge that you can really breathe into. Again, the legs super strong, some hold in the deeper core to help us support the spine in space. Maybe you can roll the left side ribs open a little bit here. And then we'll inhale to come back up. Exhaling to bend the right knee, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior, sweep your right arm back. Exhale, bring your right hand in front and to the right of your right foot, and we'll float into half moon. So left leg lifting parallel to the floor, left arm reaching up to the ceiling. Seeing if you can stretch out in all directions through all of your limbs. And then still hold a little bit of strength towards center by drawing in through the lowest part of your belly, feeling the engagement of the inner line of your left leg. And we'll exhale to bend the right knee, stepping your left foot back, landing again in a warrior two shape. Once more, we'll inhale to reverse warrior. Exhale to windmill the hands down to the inside of your right foot. Place your left knee back to the mat. Again, great idea to find some padding here. We'll turn the right toes out to the right, step the left hand off to the left, let the hips sink really low. Bring your right hand to your inner right thigh. Keep letting the hips sink low. Start to lengthen up through the belly, lift the chest, and lean your right shoulder back. Maybe here, picking up your right foot and reaching back with your right hand. Picking up your left foot, reaching back with your right hand to find that left foot behind you. And again, optional. You don't have to do anything really. You could just turn your computer off and go take a nap if that's what you feel like. Or you could stay here and make up your own practice, I don't mind. Wherever you are, letting your body's wisdom tell you what's best. And if you're in something like this shape, seeing if you can sit your hips lower, lengthen up through the chest, lift the belly. If you're holding onto that back foot, maybe you can hug the heel in a little bit closer towards the hips. And then we'll let go of the left foot. You can bring your hands back to the floor, straightening your left leg, and we'll just step back to a downward dog here. And then really finding that slow ripple forward. You can feel each of the areas of the spine moving into a rounder shape as you come forward. And then lowering your way down, inhaling again. Make it slow to feel each of the areas of the spine unfurl in the other direction. And then picking the hips up and back, moving into downward dog. And inhale to reach your left leg up and back. Exhale, knee into the chest, stepping the left foot forward. Right foot spins flat to the floor. Arms reaching up, warrior one on the inhale. Exhaling, warrior three. So leaning into your left foot, letting that right leg float up. Feeling the whole back body help you to get that lift away from the floor. And then we'll slowly, bending the left knee a little bit, lift the torso, reach with your right hand for your right foot, left arm up alongside your left ear, and beginning to press the foot into the hand, seeing if you can go up and back with your right leg. Go slightly forward, but mostly up with your chest, and then shoot that left leg straight down into the earth. And then we'll slowly release. Stepping the right foot back, moving into warrior two. Arms out shoulder height. Inhaling to reverse, and then stretching out your left leg long so you can reach back a little bit more into the side bend. As you take your next inhale, coming forward, left arm reaching straight towards the end of your mat, and then reaching your left hand down, right arm up into triangle pose. Again, just setting up this shape in a way that feels good for you here, starting to find the stability from your legs, a little bit of effort in the deeper core to support the spine, so that hug in through the lowest part of your belly, not a shortening of the belly, make sure the belly still stays long. Taking your right arm alongside your right ear, and then bringing the left arm alongside the right if that works for you. Again, just finding your own edge. You can come up higher if you need to. I definitely need to. Maybe rolling the right side ribs open a little bit more. Longer reach out through your fingers. And then we'll inhale to come up. Exhale, bending the left knee, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior again, long through your left side body. Exhale, left hand in front and to the left of your left foot. Floating the right leg up, half moon shape. And seeing you can stretch back through the ball of your right foot, down through your left foot, out through both of your arms, maybe even forward through the crown of your head. So go outwards in every direction. And then also feel the center line of the body, belly hugging in, the inner right leg strong. So we know where the middle is. And we'll slowly bend the left knee, step the right foot back, landing in warrior two. Once more, inhale, reverse warrior. And exhaling, hands windmill down to the inside of your left foot. And we go that left foot to the left, set your right knee down. So maybe some padding under the right knee is helpful here. Left toes turn outward, step your right hand off to the right. Keep the hips sinking low, left hand to the inner line of your left leg. And then rather than pushing that leg away from you, see if you can just grow your belly away from the inner left thigh by going up through the chest and then just gently rolling that left shoulder back. Still sinking the hips nice and low. And optionally here, picking up your right foot, reaching back with the left hand to find the right foot, still sinking the hips nice and low. Maybe if you found that connection to the foot, you can start to pull the heel in towards your hips. And remembering not to try too hard. So leaving some room for softness, leaving some room for that nourishment of the practice to seep into your body. And then you can let that right foot settle back to the floor, hands to the mat, straightening out the left foot, straightening your right leg, stepping back to a downward dog. And then again, we'll bring the knees down to the floor so that we can set the knees up into a kneeling shape. So maybe knees about hip width apart and come up nice and tall here. We'll start with the same camel variation and then an option to go deeper if you like. Perhaps with your toes tucked under to start. So imagining that wall, hips pressing into the wall, front ribs connected to the wall, lifting the heart up, and then just slowly peeling the chest away from the wall as you tip your ribs back. So keep really pressing the hips forward. So you might just stay here, or without turning too much, so see if you can make it not a twist, you might sit back a little bit with your hips and reach your hands down towards your ankles. And then from there, see if you can press the hips forward again. So find that imaginary wall once more. Go up with the heart and maybe let your head drop back for the full camel shape. Just taking a few steady breaths here. Again, remembering the primary direction is up with the center of the chest to give us space in the low back. Good. And then before you come out of the shape, think of your roots. So legs are really strong. Maybe hug the midline with your inner thighs. Draw in through the belly. Use your lower body to help you pull yourself back up. The last thing that comes up is your head and chin. And then from there, we'll bring the hands back to the floor, taking your hips up and back, moving into downward dog. And maybe you just want to walk the dog here a little bit to finding in that sort of neutral, comfortable alignment in your spine. Good. And then finding one more variation of that sequence. We'll inhale to reach the right leg up. Exhale, knee into the chest, step the right foot forward, left foot spins to the floor, inhaling, arms up, warrior one. Good. Shifting your weight into your right foot, warrior three. Good. This time we'll start to lift the chest, bend the left knee to bring the left foot up behind you and reach with both of your hands for your left foot. See if maybe you can even interlace your fingers around the top of that left foot. And then we press the left foot back and up into the hands, go forward and up with the chest, a little bit more space in the shoulders in this shape. Good, and then slowly releasing, again, softening that right knee, big step back into warrior two. Arms out, shoulder height. We'll inhale here to reverse warrior, sweeping the right arm back. Exhaling now to bring your right forearm to your right thigh or your right hand down to the floor on the inside of the right foot. Take your left arm forward alongside your left ear. So an extended side angle shape. Wrapping your right hip under the body, rolling your left side ribs open, reaching down and out through the outer edge of your left foot, and then out through the left fingers. So we're stretching in both directions along that whole left line of the body. And from here, we can inhale just to come back towards a warrior two shape. Lean your weight again into your right foot. Half moon, right hand comes down in front and to the right of the right foot. Left leg lifting, spread the arms out wide. Optional here, bending your left knee. Reach with your left hand to find the left foot for this kind of dancer's variation of the half moon shape. So again, really pressing the foot into the hand if you're able to find it. So you can go up through the inner line of your left thigh, stretch the belly long, maybe more of a back bend sensation in this pose. Yeah. And then slowly bending your right knee, releasing that left foot, stepping back, warrior two. Inhale to reverse warrior. Exhaling to windmill the hands again down to the floor. We'll frame the right foot, bring the left knee down to the mat, padding if you like it. We're going to inhale up to a low lunge. Let the hips settle. Find all of that low body strength. So I'm really thinking about where your roots are, how we can gather through those roots to help grow the trunk a little bit taller. And then start to ease into a back bend here. So we'll let the ribs tilt back. Maybe your arms come back. I'm just moving to your own edge. You could stay upright. It's actually probably more work, but if that's where your mobility allows you to be, then stay upright. If you have a little bit more mobility in the spine, you might find, without twisting too much, if you can drop that left hand down, toes tucked under will be easier. If you can actually push through the right foot to send your torso back and maybe you can find with your left hand, your left heel. And then once we have the support from the arm, we can really let the heart open and reach back through the right arm. So sinking the hips forward, but pushing into your right foot to send the heart back. Remember to squeeze through the inner lines of the thighs so that you hold your center. And then again, coming up, make sure it comes from the low body, and we try and go straight without twisting. Exhale to bring the hands to the floor. Stepping back to your downward dog. Inhaling to ripple forward into plank, finding that rounding quality through the back. It's a nice little counter shape. And then exhaling, lowering your way down. Inhaling to peel once more into a really long back bend. Exhaling, hips up and back, downward dog. Good. And then the left side. We'll inhale to take the left leg up and back. Exhale, knee into the chest, stepping the left foot forward, right foot flat to the floor. Arms up, warrior one. Exhaling into warrior three. And maybe hands back by your hips, already here. And then a little bit of lift in the chest, bending that right leg up behind you. See if you can loop your hands around the top of your right foot. And then begin to press that right foot back and up, away from the floor. Heart reaching forward and up. A little bit more space in the shoulders. And then we'll slowly let go. Bending the left knee, big step back. Warrior two on your exhale. Inhale, reverse warrior, the left side body long. Exhaling the left hand down to the inside of the foot, or left forearm to your left thigh. So I'm just picking the variation that makes sense for you. The variation that lets the rain in. And seeing if you can really breathe into the right side of your body. Keep rolling your heart open. Good. And then we'll inhale just to come back up to warrior two. Shift your weight once more forward into that left foot. Left hand to the floor, floating the right leg up into your half moon shape. Nice wide stretch out through the arms. Option here to bend your right leg. Reach with the right foot for the right hand to the right foot, whatever way it works. And then seeing if you can really lift through the inner line of the right thigh. Spread the belly, lengthen forward through your heart. A little bit more of that kind of back bend quality in the shape. Good. And then slowly releasing, again, big step back into warrior two. Reverse warrior on the inhale. Exhale, hands to the floor. Right knee down to your mat, padding if you need it. Once more, low lunge on your inhale. Letting the hips sink forward, guiding your belly back. Go up with the heart. Maybe just finding this effort to hold the back bend in space. So lots of work in the core if we're doing that, really feeling the ribs going up as they tip back. Or just carefully dropping your right hand, pushing your left foot into the floor to send your torso back. Maybe that right foot is available. If we can find the right foot, then we have support, so it's a little bit less core. Left knee, hips keep sinking forward, but we push into the left foot to send the heart back, and the left arm reaches alongside the left ear towards the back of your mat or beyond the back of your mat. Good. And then again, just really slowly finding your way back, straight up to center, hands to the floor. Once more, stepping back to downward dog. And then from here, we'll bring the knees down to the mat and settle into child's pose. If you're able, bringing your knees close together will create a little bit more roundness in the spine as a nice counter pose, or knees can be apart if that's what you need. And we'll just take a few steady breaths here, breathing into that kind of ballooning shape in your back.
Noticing again if there's some kind of mental, intellectual process happening, and letting that story dissolve so that we can simply feel with our bodies whatever information we've gathered on the more physical, cellular level. And then you can slowly come up to seated on your heels. We'll take the hips off to one side, swing the legs forward, and taking the, let's start with the left leg forward, hug the right knee in towards your chest, and step your right foot towards the outside of your left leg. Sit up nice and tall. Bring the right hand behind you. Inhale to reach your left arm up, and then exhaling to twist. And I'm going to go the other way, so don't pay too much attention to me. Twisting to the right unless you are making a home for a baby. Which hopefully you're not, or hopefully if you are, you have a lot of experience with yoga, because that wasn't a prenatal class. There are other prenatal classes on the website if that's what you need. Just seeing if you can sit up nice and tall, and then keep turning as you're exhaling. Good, and then we'll turn back towards center and just switching sides. So right leg long, left knee hugging in towards you, stepping the left foot to the outside of the right leg. Find the front edge of your sits bones. You can bring your left hand behind you. Inhale the right arm up, exhaling to twist to the left. And then just keep following your breath into that shape. Every time you're inhaling, a little bit more height. And every time you're exhaling, just letting your spine allow you to follow its spiraling direction. We'll turn slowly back towards center. And from here, you can take both legs straight forward, finding the front edge of your sits bones, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale to reach the arms up. And then exhaling, just really gently draping yourself over your legs. So an easeful forward fold. Your hands can fall wherever they comfortably fall. We can invite some roundness into this shape. So let the head maybe settle so the back of the neck can be long. Breathing into the whole ballooning shape of your back. So you can feel how your breath spreads the shoulder blades wide, how it reaches into the mid-back, the low back, the back of your pelvis. And just allowing your breath to flush out all of those areas, so lots of softness. If we say we have to let the practice of yoga or the teachings of yoga enter our body the way that we listen to music, think of your breath as a kind of music entering into your body, and we just receive that melody. And if it's the right kind of music, if it's the right rhythm and tone and pitch, then maybe it has a healing quality. And we'll inhale to come slowly back up. From here, easing down onto your back. We'll place the soles of the feet to the floor. And just bring your arms out for a moment by your sides and let the spine settle. So the hips are really nice and heavy, the shoulders are really relaxed. And then we'll cross the right ankle just above the left knee, so moving into a pigeon kind of shape, and then bringing your left thigh closer in towards you. Your right arm reaches between your legs, left arm to the outside, interlacing your fingers around the back of your left thigh. And just finding A little bit of stretch here. If that's not quite enough, you could loop your fingers instead around your left shin. And just keep drawing the left thigh in a little closer. And keep the right ankle long on both sides, so kind of a flexed shape in the foot. There shouldn't be any tension in your right knee here, and not so much effort in the shoulders. Try and keep the shoulders relaxed towards the floor. The head definitely heavy towards the floor. And then releasing that, and we'll just switch sides. So the right foot comes down, the left ankle crosses just above the right knee. And then starting to gather the right thigh in, left arm between the legs, right arm reaching around to the outside, finding the hands looping around the right leg, wherever it works best for you, still with the shoulders relaxed. So making sure that you can keep the effort in the arms relatively minimal. And again, if you find that you're working too hard, then modify the shape in some other way, or even choose a different shape so that the effort is the right amount, the amount that allows you to be in your sort of learning mode. If there's too much effort, then the information can't get in, the nourishment can't get in. The music can't get in. Good. We'll release the hold so that you can bring the feet back to the floor, uncrossing the legs, and then we'll take both knees in towards the chest. Hands or arms looping around your shins and just rocking a little bit side to side here. So a nice round shape in the back, and really feel how the hips peel away from the floor as you draw your thighs in. And then you kind of just massage the back against the mat. So you can feel those spinal extensors lengthening and getting a little bit of a kneading out against the floor. And then releasing into Shavasana, which might mean taking your legs straight out on the mat. If you feel any discomfort in your low back, then perhaps placing the knees to the feet to the floor is more appropriate. If you feel just a little bit too much effort, residual effort in your low back, then maybe it's helpful for just a couple of rounds to actively round the back by pressing the low back into the floor. You can feel your core muscles engage as you press down through the low back. And then you do the opposite. You actively lift the low back away from the mat. So we feel the spinal extensions just really gently turn on as you reach the tailbone towards the floor. And then again, you press the low back down into the floor to get that engagement in the core, rounding quality in the low back, and then a little bit of a tilt in the hips to peel the low spine more away from the floor than it would be in its neutral shape. So a little bit of activity in the spinal extensors, maybe once more rounding, pressing down through the low back to engage the core. And then finding like the middle shape where the low spine just really gently sweeps away from the floor in its neutral position. And then there's no effort in either the front or the back side of the body. And just let yourself rest here for a few moments in Shavasana. Get as heavy as possible. Notice if there's still any kind of barrier or sheath around your body or around your heart that is blocking information or nourishment from entering your body. Is there anything that you're holding onto that doesn't allow you to just absorb the effects of your practice, to absorb the learning of your practice? If we have an idea about how our practice should have been, or how we should have been in certain poses, or what we should have been able to achieve, then that is a sheet of plastic around the fertile soil. So we see if we can strip that idea away so that the rain can reach the seeds and the seeds can grow. It doesn't matter what you can do or what you already know. It only matters that you are sponge-like, especially here in Shavasana. You're just soaking in all of the juices that you've created through this movement and this breathing and this paying attention. And then we'll just slowly start to wake the body back up, find some conscious breath. If you feel really good about staying here, you're of course welcome to continue your Shavasana for as long as you like. Otherwise, maybe bringing the arms up alongside the ears, taking a nice full stretch, and then settling onto your right side, and moving slowly up towards a comfortable seat. And just take a few moments here in your comfortable seat to, again, turn your attention inwards to notice. And keep seeing your breath in your body. And then bringing your hands together at the center of your chest, you can thank yourself for your practice this morning. Namaste.